Good morning, everyone. How we doing? Happy July 3rd. It's the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. I am your host, Richie. And on today's show, I'm going to be hitting on the continuing troubling struggles of my beloved New York Yankees. Going to give you guys a little detail on what's happening in MLB. Going to hit you with my winners for NBA free agency. And one of my other favorite teams, the New York Football Giants, are being featured on HBO's Hard Knocks. Going to hit on some of my feelings and thoughts on the premiere episode, which aired last night at 9 p.m. Eastern. If you haven't already, please make it a point, like and subscribe to the channel, the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast on YouTube, and enjoy this intro, and I will be right back. All right, I am back. Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. Going to be starting it off in MLB. My New York Yankees have lost 7 of their last 10. It's worse than that if you back it up a little bit more. They're in danger of losing their 5th consecutive series if they don't get a W today and tomorrow against, in my opinion, an inferior Cincinnati Reds team. Luis Gil, who has been a Cy Young candidate in the first half of the year, I feel that MLB is starting to catch up to him a little. He looked sharp through the first 3, had some bad middle innings. Caleb Ferguson came in relief, gave up a run. Ultimately, the Yankees were not able to dig themselves completely out of the 5-4 hole that they started with. 5-0 hole, I should say. They were able to score 4 runs. Aaron Judge hits number 32 on the year. Right now, he is the brightest star in not just the Yankees, but in all of Major League Baseball. But if your team's not winning, it kind of puts a damper on even the incredible stuff that Aaron Judge is doing. I actually believe that he's going to break his previous American League home run record of 62. I believe Judge could walk away tying Sammy Sosa this year at 66. More importantly, the Yankees have to get back to their winning ways that they showed for much of the first half of the season with the All-Star break on the horizon. Baltimore Orioles improved to being 2 up in the loss column on the Yankees. Overall, when you factor in games played, it's an even 1-game lead. I've said on many a show, I'm not overly concerned about winning the American League East. My bigger concern is the Yankees being in a place to win a championship in the playoffs, whether it's via the wild card or the Eastern Crown. Texas Rangers last year were a wild card and ended up winning it all. But I'm going to give you the negatives. I'll start with the negatives, and I'll try to end it on some positives with regard to my New York Yankees. Aaron Judge undeniably is the biggest positive. He's having, even for his standards, a career year. He hits to all fields. He's hitting for power. He's just dynamite, and he is just there. And every conceivable realm, Aaron Judge has been that man this season. Okay, let's hit you with another positive. Garrett Cole looked really good in Toronto after a lackluster start in Queens and getting yanked early, no pun intended, against the Baltimore Orioles. Garrett Cole definitely looked like himself in Toronto, and that is a sight that many Yankee fans want to see. What other positives do we have before we hit on the negatives? It goes without saying that Juan Soto makes baseball look really easy. And I believe that rookie first baseman Ben Rice is proving that he belongs as an everyday first baseman, even when Anthony Rizzo heals up. DJ LeMahieu has shown some signs of being the former batting champion that he was, but the negatives right now are outweighing. The bullpen is in shambles. The bullpen, for the most part, has really let down the Yankees. Yesterday would probably not be the best example of that because our starter gave up the majority of the runs, but the Yankees undeniably have to improve this bullpen. Another negative, 3 consecutive rough starts for both Carlos Rodon and Luis Gil. Luis Gil is still very much in contention of not only being the Rookie of the Year, but being the American League starter for the All-Star game, but he's coming off 3 tough ones. Marcus Stroman, to me, for the most part, has been a good acquisition. Nestor Cortez, I kind of don't know what we're going to get from start to start. I thought he was brilliant on some junctures of the year, and on other ones, I question if he belongs in the pen. Chris Dixon, good morning. How you doing, bro? But right now, as far as I'm concerned, the 2 best teams in the American League are the Cleveland Guardians and the Baltimore Orioles in no particular order. There is an East Coast bias. Everybody's talking about the Orioles. Everybody's talking about the Yankees. The Guardians are quietly having a phenomenal season. Now, the Yankees did win a series earlier in the year in Cleveland, but that doesn't really add up to anything right now. It's a what have you done for me lately league, and lately the Yankees just look like a bottom feeder. They are not playing good baseball. I'm thankful that they got off to such a great start so they could endure this and not have it really affect them. 5-game lead as the top wild card for the Yankees right now. But to say this has been upsetting is an understatement. Yankees need to find their way. It seems like ever since the 3-game series against the Red Sox, it has been just a bit of a shit show. I believe the New York Yankees definitely need to expedite moving on from Gleyber Torres. I don't think they have the luxury of investing in Gleyber even for the rest of this particular season. Gleyber is still relatively young. So I believe that if the Yankees move on from him sooner than later, you can address second base not only in the offseason, but right now. I do think the Yankees have some options. First of all, Oswaldo Cabrera, in my opinion, earned the right to get more playing time. I would not have an issue with him being part of that solution, or DJ LeMahieu. They're both capable of playing the corner as well as second base. Jose Trevino, who has been a consistently good defensive catcher, has shown some warts. Oddly enough, he's been stepping it up on the offensive side. But the absence of Giancarlo Stanton is definitely a glaring issue with the Yankees right now. His presence alone brings a lot of protection and better pitches to both Judge and Juan Soto, as well as just rounding out the entire lineup. But when I think about the negatives, my bottom line here with the New York Yankees, Carlos Rodon and Luis Gil got to get back on track. And the team overall needs to make a move or two. I personally would like to see another bat come in. And I would also like to see the Yankees improve that bullpen. Alex Verdugo, who in my opinion has been a good addition for the most part of the first half, is also slumping. And, you know, they kind of say that when it rains, it pours. And I do believe that that's exactly what's going on with the New York Yankees right now. Philadelphia Phillies, they are nursing their own share of injuries as their 2 power sluggers, Bryce Harper, as well as Kyle Schwarber, are out with the same injury at the same time. Bright side of things for the Phillies is that it looks like they should both be returning as soon as they are able to be activated. For the Yankees, in Stanton's case, it looks like a legitimate amount up to 4 weeks. It's been about, a week or so now? So, yeah, you're talking another 3 weeks without Giancarlo Stanton. 6 times in the last 8 years, he's been on the IL. Rivals of the Phillies, the New York Mets. They got to be buyers as far as I'm concerned. The Mets not only are a game out of the National League wild card, the final wild card right now as we speak, there's 3 slots open, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that they could catch the Braves. Francisco Alvarez being reinserted into that lineup has been huge for the New York Mets. Absolutely huge. I also look for the Baltimore Orioles to make some moves at the break. I don't believe that Craig Kimbrell is the end-all be-all answer for them. I think they're going to have to figure it out because this is a team that's also chasing a World Series title. The Dodgers are the Dodgers. The Dodgers on paper are supposed to win almost every year. But, I think that the Dodgers have done an admirable job of withstanding many, many injuries. They are so talented that they are one of the few teams that could literally absorb that. There might be some names on the trade block that are somewhat intriguing. One starting with Vladimir Guerrero. I don't believe that Toronto Blue Jays are going to be able to bring him back. They could, but is that what's best for their future? There are definitely some teams that are going to be interested in the services of Vlad if he indeed becomes available. Now, if I'm the Yankees, if I'm the Orioles, if I'm the Mets, I am trying to hone in on teams that can part with solid bullpen arms to improve teams that are going to be contending. But as of right now, the Mets are undeniably trending upward. Although the Padres are on a 2-game losing streak, they are right in the thick of things. So I do think that the Mets are in a good position. We're going to move this along to the NBA. And I'm going to hit you with my winners for NBA free agency. Undeniably, you got to give the Oklahoma City Thunder a W for what they did. If you revisit last year's playoff run that recently ended, they did have the best record in the Western Conference, but were outed by the Dallas Mavericks in 6. By acquiring a player who is basically in his prime in Isaiah Hartenstein, that to me was the biggest position of need for the Oklahoma City Thunder, as they didn't really pose a legitimate threat in the middle in terms of shot blocking, getting those 50-50 rebounds. And Hartenstein also has a little bit of an improvement in his offensive game. As a Knicks fan, I'm disappointed that the Knicks were not able to bring him back, but I don't think it's solely based on money. If the Thunder were not also a championship contender that was able to offer a little more, and say if it was more of a mid-tier team, I don't think Isaiah Hartenstein would have left. I actually do believe that it was indeed a difficult decision for him. He's built great friendships in New York, but this is a league where you only have an opportunity to get paid properly maybe once in your entire career. So I wish Isaiah Hartenstein all the best. I am happy that at least he's not in the Eastern Conference anymore. And, Knicks fans need to relax too. He's good, but we didn't lose Moses Malone. We didn't lose Patrick Ewing, so they got to calm down on that a little bit. Another team that I got winning is the rival Philadelphia 76ers. Adding center Andre Drummond, it is going to be his second stint in the city of brotherly love. He was there just a couple of years ago. He has spent the most recent time of his career with the Chicago Bulls. Paul George, wingman. That is a huge pickup. Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, Paul George give them a legitimate 3-headed monster to attempt to compete with some of their divisional foes, my New York Knicks, as well as the Boston Celtics. The Celtics have a target on their back. Everybody's going to be trying to dethrone them. But I would have to say that the absolute biggest winner and biggest loser are in the same kind of deal. The sign and trade of Klay Thompson, which sends him to the Dallas Mavericks, that undeniably to me is the biggest loss for the Warriors, biggest loss of free agency, biggest loser. Biggest winner, Dallas Mavericks. They are coming off a runner-up season in the NBA Finals, getting defeated in 5 games to a better Boston Celtics team. But Kyrie Irving now has another player that he can facilitate to. You have Luka. Now you have Klay. Klay is number 6 in NBA history in all-time 3-pointers made. And when you think about some of the names on that list, it is truly incredible. His former Splash brother, Steph Curry, is in that. Reggie Miller, Ray Allen, just to name a few. Some of the best three-point shooters that have ever done it in the NBA. While I think the previous NBA champions before the Celtics, the Nuggets, are going to be heard from, I undeniably have to say that the Mavericks should be the favorite going in the West. It goes without saying that the Celtics have every reason and deserve to be the favorite in the East. I like what the New York Knicks did, making the deal for Mikal Bridges. I also am happy that they're bringing back OG Anunoby because from a defensive standpoint, those two players are going to be huge together. What I also enjoy about these moves is that it moves two Nova Cats, Dante DiVincenzo, as well as Josh Hart to the bench, where I think they'll be able to help the team even more. Because it's very important that when you have your bench unit in there as a coach, you don't feel like you're losing all that much from the starting unit. It's imperative that Tom Thibodeau does not beat these guys down the way he did last year. I can give him some grace due to circumstances, but the reality is that Tom Thibodeau, even going back to his Chicago days, has a propensity for running with very short rotations. There are a couple of options for the New York Knicks in terms of the center position now that Isaiah Hartenstein is gone. I'll give you a couple of names. Starting with the Orlando Magic's Mo Wagner. I do believe it might be difficult to lure him out of Orlando because of the fact that he has a brother who is a vital piece of that team. But it would probably be the most responsibility and the biggest role he's ever had in his NBA career. Not to mention that he's going to be playing for a championship. And while Orlando is ascending, I don't see them as on the level of the New York Knicks just yet. Mitchell Robinson is an interesting one. I think the New York Knicks, given the salary that Mitchell is going to make this year, could potentially trade him if they have intentions of bringing back Precious Achiuwa to play along with Jericho Sims and make that your two centers. Wiseman from Detroit is also an option. I think he's a little risky, but when you consider that it will be minimal financial, I think the Knicks could possibly take a flyer out on a player like that. But the negative with association to him is that he has not truly fit in to any team that he has ever played with. But we shall see. The Knicks are a lot better right now on paper than they were at the end of that Indiana game. Knicks have a very strong second unit right now. And I think you have a situation where guys like Josh Hart, as well as Dante DiVincenzo, could legitimately compete for Sixth Man of the Year. Last night was the premiere of the Giants on HBO Hard Knocks. This is a cool series that I've always enjoyed. Obviously, I have a bigger eye on it because it's my team being featured. Something that I found interesting off the rip was the Giants' pursuit of certain defensive players that they felt were definitely in need. You have a new defensive coordinator in Shane Bowen, who doesn't blitz nearly at the same frequencies as previous coordinator Wink Martindale. He does like his ball hawks, and he still likes to run an aggressive defense. Christian Wilkins was one of the finalists, one of the guys that the Giants thought they were going to make a move on. Ultimately, they made the trade for Brian Burns. When I consider that Brian Burns played for a horrific Carolina team and has been a consistent quarterback sack artist in his young career, I think it's a tremendous upgrade. You have him opposite of Kayvon Thibodeau. Who do you double team? And then not to mention, you have arguably the best interior defensive lineman in all of football in Dexter Lawrence. While the offense still shares plenty of questions with the absence of Saquon Barkley, I do believe that the defense is going to be very good for these Giants this year. And speaking about that offense, as you all know, the Giants drafted Malik Nabers in the first round. This is a prove-it year for Daniel Jones. That goes without saying. But something that I found very interesting coming out of Joe Shane's mouth as I'm watching this Hard Knocks episode yesterday, John Mara did not exactly look like he was all the way comfortable with moving on from Saquon Barkley. Shane definitely sold him on the idea of Devin Singletary because of his ties to Buffalo and truly knowing the system. Not to mention, Singletary has been relatively healthy and pretty productive. Now, I'm not going to disillusion anybody and say that Singletary is as talented as Saquon Barkley, but the best ability is availability. As Saquon goes, I do believe that Shane did right by him by allowing him to test the open market. There was an interesting phone call. I don't know if we're going to be privy to this on a future episode, but he was on the phone with Saquon, essentially saying, give us a fair shot. I don't know if there's audio of Saquon on the other side of that. It will certainly be interesting. But the thing with Shane is that he said, due to the market, when you have to pay a quarterback in the 40 million range, he had a good 22. Last year he got hurt. It's no secret that the O-line was putrid outside of Andrew Thomas. They go out and get some help, Jermaine Ellamore, as well as John Runyon Jr. via free agency. But he made a very honest point about how he devalues running backs as well as safeties. And he's not the only general manager in professional football that sees things that way, because they are two of the most replaceable positions in the NFL. And I've said on previous shows, unless you're talking about a Derrick Henry, who is a throwback, or you're talking about a Christian McCaffrey, who is truly, truly a triple threat. He could run, pass, and throw. He's just a superior athlete. I'm not saying that a healthy Saquon Barkley is not special, but I do believe that when you have so many needs and when your huge investment is under center and you have the final season to figure out if you're going to move on from him or if he's going to be your quarterback for the next 6 to 10 years, you undeniably have to prioritize getting him the help he needs up front, as well as getting him a weapon. Previous general manager Dave Gettleman drafted Saquon Barkley incredibly early. In today's NFL, you don't get running backs that early. It's a passing league. I am curious, though, to see how that conversation went, because many Giant fans are salty that Saquon immediately went to the enemy. I don't think that anyone would be upset if he would have went to any of these other teams, whether it be Houston, whether it be Baltimore. Even if he went to the Jets, I don't think people would have flipped out. But it was a little slow moving for a first episode, but definitely an intriguing buildup to what we're going to see in future episodes. I finally got around to finishing season 2 of Winning Time, The Rise of the Los Angeles Lakers of the 80s. If you like enhanced sports drama, it is a little extra dramatized. It's not all fact-based, but it is incredibly entertaining. I implore you guys to check out that show on HBO Max. I purposely took out just a month subscription because I wanted to see Hard Knocks for my New York Giants. Anything else that is on the minds of the viewers, get at me. Let me know what you want us to talk about on a future show. And I want to wish each and every one of you a very enjoyable 4th of July. Please be safe with these fireworks. Don't JPP yourself. I love you, JPP. I'm just saying. That was reckless shit. Props to him, though. The man still was able to win another Super Bowl and play at a high level. I was actually at his return game when he came back with the club in Tampa. Until next time, I am Richie. Have a wonderful day, everyone. And I will be back soon. Announcements to come on our next show, and I'll more than likely have some company. Take care, guys.